Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 26 of the What's He On About Cricket podcast. We're going to dive into the county champs once more. This time we're having a look at round four. It was a kind of half round, only a few games were played, but nonetheless, we're going to have a deep dive into one game in particular. And we're going to have a wider review. We're going to have a look at the wider scope. What are the tables looking like? How is everyone standing? How are they stacking up in the county championship so far? We'll take a step back and we'll look wider and we'll say who are the best openers in the English game right now? Who's putting the most pressure on Zach Crawley? There's a plethora of inform openers at the minute, but we're going to pick out a few of them just to let you know. But first, something pretty big happened in the IPL yesterday. So we're going to have a look at that. So ask yourself, what is he on about? Every single cricket podcast I've heard over the last couple of days started with two words: Vaibhav Suryavanshi. Well, this man is a 14-year-old icon. He is already a god in India. This bloke just knocked 101 off 38 balls for the Rajasthan Royals. But first, before we get on to that, we're going to have a little chat about Joss Buttler and Shubman Gill. Because these lads, they went out in the first innings for the Gujarat Titans. It was Gujarat versus Rajasthan. And Gujarat posted about 209, I believe. They posted 209 for Rajasthan to chase, including 50s for both Joss Buttler and Shubman Gill. Now, they went out there and put on a good show, only for Suryavanshi to come and outclass both those two and Jashavi Jaiswal, his opening partner for the Rajasthan Royals. Jaiswal looked quite old in comparison. This young lad is 23, Jaiswal, and he's been lighting up world cricket as this new young talent. In Australia, he was the new kid on the block. He's 9 years older than Suryavanshi. And Suryavanshi, it's fair to say he got to his ton in pretty good style. He needed, well, he didn't even need, he got his last 20 runs in 4 balls. He went from 80 to 100 in 4 balls. He went 4, 4, 6, and then hit Rashid Khan for 6 to get to 100. It's the second fastest 100 ever in the IPL, coming off 35 balls. And he's the youngest ever IPL player. It is beyond belief what this kid has done in year 9. Year 9 at school, Suryavanshi. I don't know if that's how they call the years over in India, but is it too early to compare this guy to the little master, Sachin Tendulkar? It is incredible and beyond words to describe how much of an incredible feat this is. 14 years old, 100 in the IPL, whacking the likes of Rashid Khan, Mohammad Siraj, and Ishant Sharma, who's played over 100 tests for India, to absolutely all parts. Ishant Sharma especially was getting a fair bit of tap by Suryavanshi, but the 14-year-old gets 100 for the Rajasthan Royals in just his third game. And it raises the question, should they have played him earlier? Where's he been? Maybe we should have brought him in when he was 13, but unbelievable stuff from Suryavanshi, and we're gonna move on past it because there's not much else I can say about this guy, to be honest. He's 14, he's a genius, and I honestly just hope and pray that it keeps going upwards. Because I don't want to think about what could happen if he gets to 16 then falls off. That would just be terrible. Terrible. But I really hope he doesn't get into any bad spells of form that just really knock him off, because we've seen the likes of Prithvi Shaw. I think at 15 he got like a 500 for some kind of domestic level cricket, and he's fallen off the face of cricket, unfortunately. But Suryavanshi's got massively high hopes But talking of high hopes, we're going to move on to the county championship. And one game in particular, we're going to have a look at Nottinghamshire versus Sussex. Now, this game was a good game, however, it ended in a 9 wicket demolition by Nottinghamshire on Sussex. We'll start in the first innings where Josh Tongue took a fifer. This man's name's being thrown around for a place in the England squad. I personally think that Josh Tongue's time has been and gone, although he's still very much around the setup. He's been playing Lions cricket. He's playing very well for Nottinghamshire, hence this fiver. He's a wicket taker. However, he's not very economical. What he brings height, he brings bounce, he brings pace. Good all in Australia. That could be a good thing going for him. However, it just feels like Josh Tongue is slightly fallen out of sync with that main test side. He doesn't quite feel one of that group of fast bowlers, the likes of Atkinson, Carse, Potts, Archer, Wood, Wokes. He doesn't quite feel like he's in that group of players. But it could be if he keeps performing for Nottinghamshire. Great five for there. Another bowling piece of class. We're going to go to the 17-year-old off spinner. He's an off spinner, everyone. Forget what I said about him being a leg spinner. He's an off spinner. Farhan Ahmed, 17-year-old. In the second innings, he took 4 for 54 off 23 overs. Now, you might think, wow, 4 wickets, but I just want to focus in on he bowled 23 overs for 54 runs. He's a 17-year-old and his control is unbelievable. He went at 2.3 runs per over. And it raises the question, doesn't it? Especially with his home ground being Trent Bridge. Could England give him a debut against Zimbabwe at Trent Bridge? I think this is a great opportunity for England to maybe give Farhan Ahmed a bit of experience and see how he fares in the international game. What I would worry is if he plays unbelievable against Zimbabwe, he then has to play versus India as our frontline spinner. That could damage his confidence. But if he gets through that, he'll then go to Australia for the Ashes, where it will 100% damage his confidence. And I really don't want to take a 17, 18-year-old off spinner to the Ashes in Australia purely for his mental health, really. I just do not want to affect what could be an incredibly bright future by sending him as England's number one spinner down under. I think someone more experienced got to do that job, but I would love to see him play against Zimbabwe. Anyway, back to the Notts versus Sussex game. Fergus O'Neill finished his Nottinghamshire spell. He's taken 21 wickets. He's a top wicket taker in Division 1, which has put Nottinghamshire at the top of Division 1, the top of the table. But he's taken those 21 wickets at an average of 18. And O'Neill also took the likes of Tom Haynes for Sussex, who we're going to come on to a bit later in the show. Tom Haynes got 64, but Fergus O'Neill got him. His spell ends at Nottinghamshire, but what a spell it's been. The Aussie overseas, he's been knocking that door down, hasn't he, for Australia? Very much out of the question until he did some unbelievable performances in the county championship for Nottinghamshire. But he's averaged 18 for his 21 wickets. Fergus O'Neill is really one to look out for as a future Australian fast bowler. These gaps of Josh Hazlewood, Mitchell Stark, and Scotty Boland have got to be filled over the next few years. Fergus O'Neill, although he's not a rapid bowler, he's bowling mid to low 80s. No reason why he can't fill a spot in the Aussie side with those kind of figures. But talking of Nottinghamshire, Hasib Hamid. We're going to come on to him more later in the show, but against Sussex, his 2 knocks of 85 and 62 not out as the captain, don't forget. Didn't even realise Hasib Hamid was captaining there as the 28-year-old. But he put in a couple of great performances just to add on to what he's been doing over the last few weeks. But at number 3, Ben Duckett, after failing in the first innings, he almost went in at a strike rate of 200 for his 59 off 31, hitting the ball to all parts, Ben Duckett. But I just want to give a quick shout out to the Sussex bowler, Jack Carson. He's a spinner. He's been raising his hand to say, I want to bowl spin for England. The poor lad bowled against Ben Duckett, and Ben Duckett was just in a mood. And Jack Carson's 11 overs went for 86 at 8 runs per over. That's got to be a tough one to take there, Jack Carson. He's a brilliant bowler. No doubt will he be knocking on the England door over the next few years and months indeed. But Ben Duckett really did give him some tap, and it was gutting to see because a lot of people are hoping for Jack Carson to be England's next number one spinner, and Ben Duckett really taught him a lesson there. But no reason why he can't come back from it. Come back well and do well for Sussex indeed. Now we're going to have a look at the tables, look at some of the wider championships performances over the last week. Surrey beat a struggling Somerset. Now Surrey sits second, just below Nottinghamshire at the top of Division 1. But Somerset, they've been playing some decent cricket. They've not been playing bad. However, what they haven't been getting is results. Now Somerset, they were in a great position after Tom Banton hit a triple hundred against Worcestershire, but Worcestershire clung on for the draw, and that really set them off with this spell of playing decent cricket but not getting results. They're second bottom with two draws and two losses on 33 points, only above the team they drew to, Worcestershire. Worcestershire, they're a worried sight, I must be honest. They just lost to Durham, giving Durham their first win of Division 1, but Worcester sit bottom on 18 points with one draw, as I said, which came against Somerset. But the unbeaten teams in Division 1, Warwickshire, Essex, and Hampshire, all have games in hand over the teams above them, so they'll be looking to put in a good shift this weekend. Hampshire played Durham. I'm not sure who Warwickshire and Essex play, but they've both got good opportunities to make their way up the table. Let's go to Division 2. Leicestershire are the team to watch. Who would have thought Leicestershire? Rian Ahmed's 100 the week before last, was fair to say he didn't quite do as well this week. But Leicestershire beat Gloucestershire by 2 wickets. It was a great close game. But Leicestershire go 13 points clear in Division 2. Kent and Middlesex sit third and fourth. Kent on a game in hand over Middlesex and above them in the table. But they're both in decent positions to kick on with their season. Both teams would be looking to maybe push themselves into Division 1 over the next year or so. But the team I want us to look at in particular is Lancashire. Lancashire sits sixth. They sit sixth in Division 2. And for anyone who doesn't know, there's only 8 teams in Division 2. So they're third bottom, Lancashire. And they're actually level on points with Northants, the team below them. So Lancashire, with the likes of Keaton Jennings, who's yet to really get flowing this year, and Marcus Harris, though, he's been flowing, and Lancashire haven't been getting results. So I think it's really important that Lancashire can put their foot down, get a couple of results, because they've played 3 games and got 3 draws, Lancashire. So I think that's really important for them over the next couple of weeks to get wins and win big. Big bonus points, make themselves really push up that table. That would be huge for Lancashire because they deserve to be up there after being relegated from Division 1 just a year ago. But I want to just highlight a thing that a few Aussies have said. I'm not going to name any names. However, I heard a few Aussies giving the county championships a little bit of chat, basically saying how I don't really want to do the accent. I won't do the accent, but Bazball and their no draw mentality is not really rubbing off on the county championship game because the weekend before last, the Aussies they pointed out the fact that despite there being 9 games of county championship cricket, there was only 2 results. There was some pretty big rainstorms that took out most of the play over that weekend. So to link the lack of Bazball mentality in county champs to that one weekend was a little bit too far fetched, I think, coming from down under. But last weekend, 5 games, 4 results, happy days, 1 draw. All right, that's what we're talking about. Good weather for 4 days, perfect. But I do think, as much as I find it tricky to accept, it's made a brilliant point, actually, the Aussies here. It's really interesting that this Bazball mentality, they clearly don't have the power in the ECB to push this ethos, this mentality onto the county setup. And I think it's right. I think each county should have its independent way of thinking. However, it's not really helping the England side, is it? The county teams aren't really looking for these, flamboyant, high strike rate, carefree batters because a lot of the time that doesn't work in the county championship. However, England are looking for those people, and it's not really helping the development of these players because the kind of players that Bazball's looking for, England are looking for, like Jacob Bethel, they're not really getting the greatest level of experience at the county level, which you so need before you go into international cricket. So it's almost whether we need to be more of a team between the ECB and individual counties. I understand scouting and selectors really look behind the scenes at who tickles their fancy, but it's not really helping the fact that we have two such different contrasting beliefs between the England setup and the county championship setup. And I think it's a point worth discussing because if England really struggle over the next few years to get this Bazball mentality flowing, it's you can't really look past the fact that they aren't doing it in the county at the county level. But nonetheless, I think it's right that the counties are individually deciding what their ethos is. However, it's not massively benefiting the England game, is it? However, nonetheless, England are playing pretty well and they will continue to do so nonetheless. And it's just going to really highlight this difference in mentality when England start picking people who aren't really playing county level cricket. But that's just how it is at the minute. Nothing much we can do. But I think it's an interesting point worth raising. Now, let's have a look at the best openers in England. Now, Zach Crawley, it's fair to say he's under pressure, isn't it? And that's partly due to his own form, but it's also due to the huge range of informed batters we've got who are all at the top of the order. When you scroll through that batting stats of County Championship Division 1 especially, the number of openers that are in the top 10, the top 20 is absolutely staggering. But we're going to start with our honourable mention from Division 2 before we move on to the Division 1 picks. And I'm going to pick out Ben Compton. First of all, before we talk about him, I think this is probably the most unlikely bloke to get picked for Bazball in county cricket. Despite his stats this year of almost 400 runs in his 8 innings, 77 of an average, and 200s. Those 200s were back to back as well with a high score of 178. Ben Compton is a absolute grinder of a batsman. Not a very high strike rate, but he just loves the battle. And I think that he's not a brilliant fit for this Bazball side, but nonetheless, he's putting out great stats. He's a quality player for Kent. And what's putting more pressure on Zach Crawley is he is definitely outplaying Crawley. Compton is definitely the better opener of the two, which seems shocking, but it's based on current form. We all know how good Crawley can be on his day, but that's our Division 2 shout. Now let's have a look through the Division 1ers. Now, Adam Lyth, the 37-year-old at Yorkshire, despite Yorkshire struggling a bit at 8th in Division 1, Adam Lyth is not struggling. His wealth of experience has got him 300 runs at an average of 50 with 250s and 100. This lad just never stops, does he? He's absolutely brilliant for Yorkshire. I feel like he's going to keep going for a few years to come. Adam Lyth, yes, he won't get picked for England, but he is quality, isn't he? I wish he could have played a bit more. That century celebration with that shiny bald head is absolutely class to watch. But Paul Walters then at number 3. Paul Walters an Essex man, and Essex have been struggling to find an opener since the departure of Alistair Cook, and Paul Walters filled that gap. He's not a recognised opener as such, I don't believe, but the stats don't show it. He's averaging 79, nearly 80, with 317 runs to his name, just like Adam Lyth, 102 50s. The Essex man has put in a great shift opening for Essex when they just really haven't had that strong opener for the last couple of years. Dean Elgar's going to come back, and it looks like Paul Walters is going to be alongside Dean Elgar at the top of the order. That could be pretty formidable. Who knows what we could see from Essex this year? Next, we're going to have a look at the Durham partnership. Now, some would say these two have probably underperformed for how the expectations were set. Alex Lees and Ben McKinney, both averaging around 40. Lees a bit below, McKinney a bit above. Both just under 300 runs with 100 apiece, but Lees with a 50 and McKinney without that 50. But these two players, they're both in decent form. I both think they can kick on. But Lees, let's talk about Lees just quickly. He's an interesting one with regards to England's selection. He played really well. He played really well for England, and he played the Bazball style in 2022. He came out firing against New Zealand, was a big part of that Trent Bridge chase with Johnny Bairstow's match-winning 100. But Alex Lees is that probably unlucky player, which I can't see getting picked again. We'll talk about McKinney a little bit later in the show. We talked about him a lot as well over the last few weeks, but we'll see why he's going to come up a little bit later. That Durham partnership's going well. Number 5, an absolute fan favourite. This is probably my third best opener in England. It's Hasib Hamid. He has had 3 not outs of his 7 innings, which have helped. It's helped him get to an average of 111 this year so far. He scored 443 runs, but he's got 103 50s. Despite getting 100 with a high score of 138 not out, he's averaging 110. So Hasib Hamid, he looks in absolute fine form. We heard he got 85 and 62 not out versus Sussex last weekend. But Hasib Hamid, everybody loves this guy. Ever since he came into the England setup, a little bit too young, had a tough fall in his career, ended up playing Lancashire Twos cricket, I believe it was. Look at him coming back. Absolutely brilliant career arc to see Hamid doing so well. I'd love to see him play for England, but maybe that's not quite on. But as we get closer to the top of this little openers table we've got going, Dom Sibley, he sits at second for me. He scored 412 runs in his 7 innings at an average of 69, just below 70 there with 203 50s. How's that for stats? Both Sibley's hundreds came back to back in the game versus Hampshire, which ended in a draw. But Dom Sibley, although once again not quite fitting this Bazball mould, he is putting in some unbelievable performances, putting huge pressure on the likes of Zach Crawley. But Dom Sibley, what a player, an absolute wall. The strike rate's nothing to be that proud of, but England just probably won't pick him, will they? Just like Hamid probably won't pick him, just like Lees, just like Ben Compton. Can't see these guys getting picked. Number 1, though. This guy's played England Lions cricket. He plays for Sussex. He's the opening bat. Of course, it's Tom Haines. This guy is the top run scorer in both Division 1 and Division 2, scoring 513 runs in 8 innings. He's going at an average of 73 with 200s and 250s. This guy's 26 years old. And who's to say? Who is to say this guy can't play for England? Yes, again, we struggle to look past the likes of Zach Crawley, don't we? We can't see this Bazball team without Crawley in. However, Tom Haines, he's got runs for England Lions. He's got runs for Sussex over the last 5 years or so since his debut in 2016. He is really, really good. However, of all these players, I've said I can't see Compton getting picked. I can't see Hamid getting picked. I can't see even Sibley getting picked, however well he does at the start of this year. I can't see Lees getting picked. And to be honest, in the short term, I can't see Tom Haines getting picked, despite him putting out incredible numbers. 500 plus runs in his first 8 innings. Astonishing as an opener, averaging 40 in his career over 9 years. However, the only man I see really getting picked by Brendan McCullum, by Stokes, is Ben McKinney. Not because he's the best opener in English cricket, but because he seems to fit the mould. And this is where that debate comes again, doesn't it? Of Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes picking on who fits their criteria rather than who's playing the best. And I'm not massively against it because I watched England for many years pick the best openers in Test cricket and county championship cricket and watch them not perform on the big stage. So I'm all for this new idea of selection. However, it seems unfair, doesn't it? And maybe we need a little bit of a shift up in the county setup to maybe move more alongside this England ethos, wherever the England ethos is going, the county championships, maybe their teams shift across to this ethos. It kind of reduces the weight a coach has on their team, doesn't it? They can't put their own spell on it, but it just seems wrong that players can put up such good performances in county cricket and not get picked for England. It seems wrong, doesn't it? But Ben McKinney, of all those, I feel is most likely to get picked. But the same still remains, doesn't it? My final point of the podcast. Zach Crawley's not going to get dropped, is he? Back Zach and don't crack. That's what they say, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure to go and follow on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram. See if you can follow on Spotify. I've heard people talking about Spotify followers, but I don't really know how to do it. See if you can have a look. Leave a 5-star review. Leave a comment if you can on YouTube. Give it a like. And make sure you're subscribed wherever you can be, really. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope the question got answered of what is he on about. Cheers.